you're doing, guys. Now, first thing, I do have to apologise. It's a bit windy. You are behind an umbrella to hopefully mask most of that wind noise, but I can't do much about that, unfortunately. So yeah, welcome back to the channel then. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. So if you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. I show you guys basically the tackle and bait you need to start fishing. So I'm going to be making loads of references back and forth to that video in this video. So go check it out now and then come back to this video if you already haven't. So right, let's jump straight into it. So you've been online, your local tackle shop, and you've bought all the equipment that I showed you in the last video. So let's start with your rod. So you've bought your rod, like I said in the last video, ideally 10 to 12 float rod. Right, you've also got your reel. So to attach it to your rod, you've got your rod like this, and see these two little nicks here, the little black marks. This is kind of where your reel slides underneath. So you get these two things there in one side, and then you get this on this side, just there. Yeah, just there. There's a thing here that you screw, and it basically pushes this silver thing up and traps them two arms like that. So you screw it up nice and tight until you can't screw it anymore, and that reel is not coming off. So right, on to step 2. What you're going to need to do is, you've got this thing here called a bail arm, this little arm here. So this is now shut, and it's, when you turn the handle here, it can revolve around there. So what you're going to want to do is open the bail arm like so, find the line, the end of the line like that. With the bail arm open, you're going to get the line, the eyes on the rod, and start threading it through the eyes. Now this can be a bit fiddly, but it's what you've got to do, I suppose. So I'm just going to take a step back and just crack on with this a second. Right, so that's done, and like you can see here, just there like that. I do apologise for the lighting as well, but you get the gist of it. It's gone through the eyes like that. So take about this much line, so the line comes down to the reel like that, and then close the bail arm. And now when you pull, no more line should be able to come out. So right, let's get onto the rig. Right, so first things first is your float. Now, oh, I do apologise, sorry, umbrella's just swung round. Right, there we are. Float. Now this is what it's going to tell you when the fish has got its hook in its mouth. So you're going to put it out. I'll show you how to set it up correctly, but it's going to sit just like that in the water. When a fish has got your hook and its bait in its mouth and it swims away, this is going to slide under the water, and you're going to know to pull, to jerk the hook into the fish's mouth. Do apologise if I keep going like this, it's just me turning the umbrella around. So right, so what you need to do, on the end of your waggler, where are we here? You can't really see on this, I do apologise again. You might be able to see, there's a little hole. So what you just do here is, you get your line and thread it through this hole here, like so. Right, like that, so it's on the lines. So now that is sliding up and down the line. So what we need now is something to lock the float on the line in place, so when a fish pulls, it doesn't just stay there on the surface and pull the line through. So this, right, this is where the lead shot comes into place. So what the lead shot does, so you should have something that looks like that. So what the lead shot does is it locks the float in place like that, so when the fish swims away, the float doesn't just slide up the line, it actually pulls it under. And as well, if you was to cast this out, this would lie flat on the surface like that. And what you want is for it to be cocked down like that, with the right amount of weight, just so it's sitting under the surface like that, so you get the indication and it goes under as soon as the fish takes your bait. So, for instance, on this float, this says 2 BBs. Now, on this, if you just see there, if it'll focus, it says BB. That is kind of the size of weight, so the size of the lead shot. So if I was to put 2 BBs on this, it'll sink it down to the perfect thing like that. So all I'm going to do is, it doesn't matter where up the line, So I've got this much line here. I'm going to get 2 BBs out, my pot, tin, whatever, and lock them either side of the float like this. Right, so to secure the shot, all you do is, there's a little slit in the side of the thing. You put the line in the slit, and then these are like then you just press with your fingers and close it, and that is now fixed on the line just there. That's not coming off or anything. Now we do the same for the other side. Squeeze that tight now, and now the float is locked in place. So that will take the float down to about there, but we want it even more sensitive, so it's down to about there, so we get that bite and it goes under the water as soon as the fish touches the bait. So we're going to go into our little tin, and on yours there should be a size number 6 shot. Now this is kind of one of the smallest shot you'll find out there, and this will literally take the float from that to that, so it's a lot more sensitive. Now this, you want to be putting it down say 10 inches away from where you're going to tie your hook. So I'm going to tie my hook on here in a minute, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And then say 10 inches away just there, I'm going to put a number 6 shot. So go into my tin, turn the little opening over to number 6, get one out. Now you can put your tin on the floor wherever, out of the way. So 10 inches, roughly 10 inches, it don't really matter that much. I'm going to get our little number 4 shot, number 6, and just pinch it on the line like that. Now I'll just grab the hooks from down there and I'll show you guys how to tie them on. Right, hooks. So package hooks like that, or you should have size 12 hooks if you've watched the last video, which you should be watching. Yeah, whatever. Right guys, so you've got your hook there. Just pick this up. There's a little hole at the top which you just simply thread the line through like so. Then you take, say, 3 inches of line, trap the hook like that, and then get this line here and twist the little tag end round the section that's connected to your rod like so, 7 times. I think that might have been a bit more than 7. Right, so you've got your little tag in now. Without letting the hook spin, release the hook there, grab the hook, so it should look something like this, and you've got a big long twisted bit of line there. Now you get this tag end here and thread it through the loop that's been created just there, like that. Then you grab your tag end in the same bit of same hand as your hook like that, making sure to moisten it like so, and then just pull that all down tight like that. So that is your hook attached. With a pair of scissors, just cut that little section off there like so. Right, so now you've tied your hook onto your line, step number whatever this is really to cast out and start fishing. But the first thing I'm going to say, the smaller fish tend to have mouths with the bottom lip sticking out, so they can feed up in the water like that. Now the biggest fish have their top lip sticking out, so they feed on the bottom downwards like that. So to catch the bigger fish, you want your hook and hook bait to be on the bottom. But if you've got a float on that's suspending your bait, how do you know when your hook's on the bottom? Well, that's just what I'm going to show you now. Right, so to make sure your hook and bait is on the bottom of the lake to try and target them bigger fish, you're going to want a plummet, which is literally just a large weight that's got a spring in it like that, so it opens. So what you do, you get your hook here and literally just open it and put your hook inside. Make sure it's all the way in, otherwise it will fall out like that. So what this will do, this will sink to the bottom, pulling your float down with it, and you've got to keep sliding your float up the line until it's at the surface, and you know that's at the right depth. So if we come round here, we've got this much here, and all we're gonna got a bit of a tangle around the end, so just untangle that, like not like that. If you've got a tangle, guys, just be patient and don't fling it around, jerking it and trying to just untangle it by swinging it around, because that'll just make it worse. So we've got a plummet, that's called, if I haven't already said, clipped onto there. So we just swing it out to our desired spot, which one swing out is usually a good spot. So now you can see there that plummet has dragged the float right underneath the water and we can't even see it. So that means that the float is set too shallow. So we'll just bring it back in, and now all you do is get these things here, the lead shot that are clamping the float, just grab them and slide this up the line there. So we'll try that now again. So now that is set quite a bit deeper. So if we just flick that out there, like so, now you can see the float is sticking out the water, so that is set probably a bit too shallow. So if we bring it back in, now slide it back down only a few inches, just little adjustments, little at a time. You don't want to be sliding it 1 foot one way and then a foot the other way. So right, just there, that's just right. So that's set too deep again, so we're going to slide it down and make it even shallower. So you get things like that and just slide it down, like I say, just a few inches at a time, and you should be alright. Just there in a desired spot, and now that's taken the float under the water. And you guys probably can't see that. I'll put the rod there, but if we look, yeah, you guys can't see that unfortunately, but I can just see the float just below the surface of the water. So that float is probably an inch from the surface of the water. So I just get my thing again, like so, and just slide it there, and that's probably about 2 inches to be fair. But just flick it out again, just there, and now that is set perfect. You just see the tip of it sticking out the water like so. Right, let's get to catching your first fish. Right, now you've set your equipment up, we're going to move on to bait. So if you remember in the last part 1, I showed you guys this ground bait. So if we just open it down here like that, always take your rubbish home, don't leave it lying on the bank, it's just don't even. So as you can see, it's like a really fine dust like that. So we're going to tip this into our bag like that, not too much, into our bucket, sorry, not too much, only about a quarter of the bag. So what we're going to do now is just add water to this until it's like a cake mix, and you can make kind of snowballs with it. So little bit at the top, just add a little bit of water at a time, because you can always add more in but you can't take it back out. Just give it a good mix round like this. You need a bit more water. Keep mixing it, make sure you give it a good thorough mix. And right, you don't want to make it too wet so it's like gravy, but you can see this now, I can go like this now, look, I can make a snowball out of it there, but then it just crumbles back down again like so. So what this is going to do, you're going to make it into balls like so, like that, and what you're going to do is you're going to throw that out into the lake. That's going to drop to the bottom and kind of fall apart and dissolve in the water like so, and that is going to send loads of smells and attractants out to the lake, to attract the fish in to your hook bait. And it's not really there to feed the fish, it's more to attract them in. Because in a lake like this, it's 3 acres. Trying to get a fish to find your hook bait with 1 grain of corn is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So you want something a bit bigger, just to attract the fish into your swim. Right, so I've mixed that ground bait and made it into 2 snowball things like that. And all you're going to do is kind of, in the area where you plumbed up to the right depth, all you're going to do, just like so, just toss them out like that. So what that's going to do is get to the bottom, start kind of fizzing and dissolving, sending out loads of smells and attractants all throughout the lake, drawing to the fish into this part here. Now I'm going to move on to the final part, which is hooking your bait, casting out and catching a fish. Right, I've just chucked them balls of ground bait in a couple of minutes ago, and there is loads of bubbles coming up like that. Now that is fish that have come in, homed on your bait and grubbing around where the ground bait is, and I would say feeding. It kind of dissolves into the water and sends out attractants, so they're kind of feeding on the bottom where the smell is coming from, but there's nothing actually there to fill the fish up. So I'm going to show you how to hook the sweet corn now, put it out there so there is something there for them to eat, and you hopefully catch the fish. Right, so now you've set your equipment up, you've put your ground bait in, you've got fish feeding in your swim, and now it's time to put something on the hook to catch them. So you've got your hook like this, you get your grain of sweet corn, and all you're going to do, it's hard to show you guys when I'm doing it, but I've just put the hook through the sweet corn like that, and what you want to do is make sure that the point of the hook just there, you can see is coming out the other side of the sweet corn. So when you pull, it pulls into the fish's mouth. Right, so let's catch you guys your first ever fish. Right, so pick up your rod, get your line in one hand and just kind of swing it out like so, just there to where you put your ground bait. Now what you're going to want to do is when that float disappears under the water, you're going to want to jerk the rod to one side like that to pull the hook into the fish's mouth. And then if the fish is of a decent size, which I will show you guys in a minute when I catch one, you're going to want to use your landing net to scoop it up. But for now we'll just concentrate on hooking the fish. So you've got your float there and you just wait patiently. Now you can see it quivering about and just dipping up and down. Now just leave them alone. You've got to wait for it to go under completely. So when it does, I'm going to jerk the rod to the side, nice and sharp like that. You don't want to be swinging it right the way back, but then you don't want to be just doing like that a little bit. Short and sharp, basically. So patiently wait, it shouldn't take 2 minutes. Right, so your float's gone under, you've set the hook, and now you've got a fish on the end. So what you need to do is get your net like this, put the net in the water and bring the fish to the net like that. Bring the fish up like so, take the hook out the fish, and there we have it guys, your first ever fish. So obviously fish can't breathe out of water, so you make sure you return him as soon as possible. Alright, so you've caught your first fish. Now I'm going to do a part 3 where I show you a few more tips and tricks to get you them extra fish, and ultimately show you the different fish you can catch and really how to treat them right. So really, congratulations on catching your first fish. Make sure you tune in to next episode, but obviously go down, subscribe, turn on the notifications so you're notified when I do upload this next episode, like, all that good stuff. But until next time, see ya.